DIPLOMATIQUE.
Koren diplomati, strani diplomati, agenti, špijuni, cijele agenture odgovaraju na vaša pitanja. Gdje se može kupiti ovo i ono?
DIPLOMATIQUE.
Vrijeme je za posebno izdanje emisije Koren DIPLOMATIQUE. Naime, početkom tjedna, točnije 7. listopada, obilježena je godišnjica krvavog napada Hamasa na Izrael, u kojem je brutalno ubijeno i masakrirano 1200 nevinih ljudi, a 250 ih je oteto. U međuvremenu došlo je do eskalacije sukoba nakon što je Izrael u zračnim napadima u samo nekoliko dana eliminirao vođu Hezbolaha i Hamasa u Libanonu. Nastavlja se uništavanje terorističkih organizacija iranskih proksija u susjednim zemljama. Na sve je odgovorio Iran napadom balističkim raketama na Izrael. I dok je broj civilnih žrtava u Gazi prema izvorima Hamasa narastao na preko 40.000, dok ih je preko 2 milijuna raseljeno, svijet strahuje od totalnog rata na Bliskom istoku i poziva na prekid vatre. O tim temama razgovaramo s veleposlanikom države Izrael u Republici Hrvatskoj, njegovom ekscelencijom Garry Korenom.
DIPLOMATIQUE.
Dobar dan, Radio Nacional.
Mr. Ambassador, Your Excellency, good day and welcome to studio of Radio Nacional.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here after giving maybe few interviews to Nacional. It's nice to be also in its radio.
We are very happy to have you, although it's not a very happy occasion, to be honest. Ovog tjedna, točnije 7. listopada, obilježena je tužna obljetnica stravičnog terorističkog napada na Izrael u kojem je brutalno ubijeno 1200 ljudi, a 250 oteto. Održane su brojne emotivne komemoracije, pa i u židovskoj općini ovdje u Zagrebu.
Indeed, it's a very sad day, a day that was full of grief, pain, but also hope. I'll explain. We decided to bring a family, relatives, mom and aunt of one of the hostages, Bar Cooperstein, and indeed we have a program. We have also met Prime Minister Plenković, Deputy Prime Minister Medved, and Minister of Foreign Affairs Gerlich Radman. We also visited Sabor in its new premises, meeting few members of the friendship group with Israel, and I think the culmination was done together with the Jewish community. Very much thankful to them for hosting, offering them a screening place. So we had on one hand, we had a screening of very emotional documentary about Festival Nova. As you mentioned the numbers of the casualties on this terrible day. So more than 300 of young people who came to this rave party were brutally murdered. There was a sexual violence. So we had a documentary of those who survived. And then we had a panel with relatives of Bar Cooperstein who worked as a security and paramedic, and he drove 4 times wounded people to Moshav Patish. And when he came back for the 5th time, he was caught by Hamas, and he's in Gaza. Yeah.
Oh my God. Međutim, niti nakon godinu dana od tog strašnog terorističkog napada gotovo polovica talaca nije oslobođena. Zbog čega su na samu obljetnicu pred rezidencijom premijera Netanyahua prosvjedovale obitelji otetih, koje sve masovnije prosvjeduju svakog tjedna po svim gradovima, najviše u Tel Avivu. Kako tim ljudima objasniti razloge zbog kojih su njihovi najmiliji i dalje u zatočeništvu?
It's very hard. It's part of the pain, but I mentioned before in your previous question also the hope. Those families don't have, and I think most of the Israeli people, majority, I think almost everyone preserves the hope. Maybe it's a part of our national character that eventually, even that the full year passed of those 101 hostages being still in Gaza, because of the cruelty of Hamas, who at any given moment was able to release. And they put pressure, legitimate pressure, they demonstrate this is the nature of State of Israel. Things are debated also on the streets. It's hard to explain to them. There are some, let's say, issues, but maybe not for this program. But yeah, there are ways maybe to deal with that. Some people say are more successful, but it depends, first of all, on Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas.
Uh-huh. Ono što naravno svijet svjedoči da je u međuvremenu došlo do daljnje eskalacije sukoba na gotovo cijelu regiju. Nakon što je Izrael prvo pejđerima, zatim zračnim napadima na Libanonu samo nekoliko dana eliminirao i vođu Hezbolaha i Hamasa, nastavlja se uništavanje terorističkih organizacija iranskih proksija u susjednim zemljama, na što je reagirao Iran ispaljivanjem balističkih raketa na Izrael. Naravno da cijeli svijet strepi od sveopćeg rata i izraelske reakcije na ovaj napad. Svi se pitaju hoće li Izrael gađati iransku nuklearnu infrastrukturu i kakve to posljedice može imati.
Well, to tell frankly, I don't know. You know, being ambassador in Zagreb, it doesn't mean that I'm part of decision-making process. I'm definitely not. But we cannot leave it without any reaction. You know, Iran stands since the beginning, even before the 7th of October, at the head of axis of evil. They call it axis of resistance. Mm-hmm. But basically it operates its proxies, whether it's Houthis in Yemen, Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, Hezbollah, and themselves. Iran attacked us only twice, 14th of April and 1st of October. I would like that such a question should be actually directed not to us, not to the State of Israel, but rather to the world leaders, because the pressure on Iran apparently is not strong enough. And it disregards all the requests, all the warnings, and it should feel the pressure much more substantial.
Ni saveznici, ni prijatelji Izraela ne mogu ostati slijepi na humanitarnu katastrofu u Gazi, stradanja civila u Libanonu i zato se svi zalažu za prekid vatre i političko rješavanje sukoba. Francuska i Velika Britanija najavile su pomoć Libanonu, SAD je čak u jednom trenutku bio protiv kopnenog napada, a visoki predstavnik Europske unije za vanjsku i sigurnosnu politiku, Josep Borrell, izjavio kako Izrael, kao i svaka zemlja, ima pravo na obranu, no da i to pravo ima svoje granice, a Izrael ih je prešao. Kako vi to komentirate?
Well, being a diplomat, I'll reply very cautiously. First of all, we respect our friends and allies. We do listen to them. We consult them. We are very much satisfied that some of them show very strong positions in deterrence of our enemies. I'm speaking mostly about American deployment of its troops and its navy. But at the bottom line, we are standing alone, and to ask us to cease fire, to allow for Hamas to survive, to allow for Hezbollah to continue shelling us. Only in the last 2 hours, we had 40 rockets fired in the area of Haifa. They do it on a daily basis. So how can we stop? Our position right now that no ceasefire will be agreed by Israel until we will be able to return safely our citizens, more than 60,000 when we're speaking about the northern border with Lebanon, to their homes in Kiryat Shmona, Metula, in the kibbutzim in the region. Now they're internally displaced because they will not feel safe. They will be afraid that Hezbollah will perform the same type of attack like Hamas did on 7th of October. So we have to deal with this. So what kind of ceasefire? Hezbollah never respected international decision-making process. He denied all the international mediators that came in the last months, whether it was United States special envoy, French special envoy, others. There is a resolution of UN Security Council from 2006. According to it, Hezbollah shouldn't have even a single armed person south of the Litani River. And it's not happening. So we have to deal with that. So what kind of ceasefire?
Okay, I'll have to add something. As a friend of Israel, I'm sure that you're aware of the fact that actually those horrible images of innocent civilians being killed are bad for the image of the state of Israel.
For us, for us it's survival. For us this is existential. I told you in the beginning, we care. This is the consequence of the war that Hezbollah started the next day. On 8th of October, it started launching fire on us. What can you expect of us? To sit, not to do anything, not to react. We are targeting Hezbollah military assets and its leadership. Now imagine yourself that they put their bunkers, command bunkers, in Dahia neighborhood, just below civilian infrastructure, just below the buildings where hundreds and thousands of people live. Of course, they do it on purpose. And the same when it was in the southern Lebanon, they deploy, and we have pictures of everything. They have the rockets and ammunition hidden in the houses of the villagers who live in the southern Lebanon, because part of the Hezbollah also live there. So their villages are used as infrastructure. We know it also from experience with Hamas. Not a single Western army had such an experience. In Hamas, we're dealing with tunnels. In Hezbollah, it has more rockets than any Western army, except for US, I guess. And so we cannot live continuously under this threat. Civilians, unfortunately, paying the terrible price. We ask them, we alert them, we tell them, please leave the area of military operation. We don't attack immediately. We alert them. Secondly, we target military targets. Unfortunately, Hezbollah, like Hamas, are responsible for the consequences. So we understand the compassion, we understand the drive, we understand the calls for this humanitarian case. But at the end, we will stay alone because no one will stop Hezbollah if we will not stop.
Prema riječima naše kolege iz Libanona, čak i oni građani Libanona koji su se protivili Hezbollahu, a bilo ih jako puno, sada su na njihovoj strani upravo zbog tog stradanja civila. Dakle, stvaraju se novi neprijatelji u susjedstvu. Zar to nije bilo moguće izbjeći?
I to some extent sympathize what your colleague was mentioning in his interview. I understand his personal background. I don't share his opinions, of course. But the fact that he mentions that his sister and his brother are still there in Lebanon, I can imagine that he's afraid to make an observation that may be very dangerous for their personal safety. And believe me, as we were so capable with very strong intelligence to eliminate almost all the leadership of Hezbollah, we know exactly what's happening in Lebanon. We know that majority of the Lebanese people, definitely Christians, definitely Druze, and even Sunni Muslims, hate Hezbollah and pray quietly, despite the suffering, that Israel will eliminate, because Hezbollah is not only a threat to Israel. Hezbollah, in the service of Iran, ruined Lebanon. It was a prospering country. Beirut used to be Paris of the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And look what happened. The economy and everything, they cannot decide on elections, about president, and it's nothing to do with Israel. So let me disagree strongly even with your colleague.
Okay. Prime Minister Netanyahu had a message to the citizens of Lebanon the other day. I was listening to it yesterday, I think. So, can you comment on that?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure what message you are speaking about. If it's about the fact that we were able to eliminate Hezbollah and his successor, and probably also successor of his successor, if this one.
To raise against Hezbollah.
Yeah. We have a very long experience with Lebanon. We would like to be in peace with them. I think we don't have any substantial issues between us and them. We agreed in the past, even if it was another Israeli government, that Lebanon will start extraction of natural gas that was found in front of its coast for the development of their economy. We have nothing against it. But we cannot agree to the fact that Iran created this ring of fire around Israel, with Hezbollah being the strongest, the most dangerous agent, proxy of it. And again, we have enough intelligence in double sense, what's happening in Lebanon, believe me.
Kao što ste rekli, sve te zemlje su pod utjecajem Irana.
You know, if it will be politically correct to say, the same way like Croatia knows exactly much better what's happening in its own neighborhood.
That's true. Dakle, kao što ste rekli, sve te zemlje su pod utjecajem Irana, koji oduvijek želi uništiti državu Izrael, širi mržnju, potpomaže terorističke organizacije. No je li moguće za svagda, zauvijek, ovim ratom ukloniti te prijetnje i osigurati mir i stabilnost državi Izrael?
I should have also mentioned the beginning that except for those rockets fired from Hezbollah just before noon on Haifa in its area, there was a terrible terrorist attack in Hadera. Apparently, we have at least 6 badly wounded. I hope that some of them, I hope that all of them will survive. I'm saying that because since Israel establishment, we are living under continuous changing maybe, but different levels of threat. But again, in the last 2 decades, I would say, on top of the radical Islamist terrorism that comes from few organizations on the Palestinian side, we have a much stronger enemy. And this is, of course, Islamic Republic of Iran. We would like to be in peace with people of Iran. We used to have great relations. We respect their cultural, historical heritage. But the Ayatollahs who run this country, first of all, kill their own people, persecute their own opposition violently. They have the record in hangings and executions, and they undermine the regional stability. You can also ask our neighbors in the neighbors in the Arab Gulf what they feel in this case, and they also undermine the world stability because Iranian Revolutionary Guards were involved in terrorist activities almost globally, definitely in Europe. And one of our expectations, when you ask me how Israel can continue dealing with this, we have the let's say, emotional strength and military strength to deal with that. But otherwise, we very much count on our friends and our allies to be much more determined and decisive, as I already mentioned a few moments ago, in putting Iran at its place. No one wants to threaten Iran just like that. If Iran will behave and will act under the norms and will not, spread terror, then stability in Middle East can be very much put back as it was. And I'll finish by a very simple observation. 7th of October attack by Hamas served a good service in a negative way to Iran because it's cut the efforts of Abrahamic Accords. It worked against negotiations that we had with Saudi Arabia. And then you can understand the agenda, you can understand the interest, and we expect of our friends, again, to be very hard on Iranians. And then, hopefully, the situation will stabilize, and then hopefully the hope will be reinforced, and then hopefully we'll be able again to speak about all those things that people, our friends, are wishing. And believe me, we wish the same. We would like to live in peaceful neighborhood and to develop the Middle East together for against climate change, for economic cooperation, cultural cooperation, and to build the trust that was damaged in terrible way by 7th October attack, the trust towards Palestinians. Only when the trust will be reinstated, I think we'll be able, again, with the help of our friends, to speak about, it's not a dirty word, it's a good word, peace process.
Okay, so let's hope for it. Give peace a chance. Mr. Ambassador, Your Excellency, thank you very much for this interview, and hope to see you some other time in some better circumstances. Thank you very much.
I have something for you.
Oh.
Doviđenja, Dženja.
Thank you so much. I'll put it here. Ja ću još jedan puta za one koji su se kasnije uključili reći da je s nama bio veleposlanik države Izrael u Republici Hrvatskoj, njegova ekscelencija Garry Koren.
Hvala puno.
Товарищ Василий, стиснут паузу. Корпус дипломатик свершил.
I think that'll do, Agent X. You can stop recording now. The show's over.
Herr Oberste, wir haben diese Konversation rekordieren und ich habe Tage archivieren.
Gazda, ja snimio. Ajde da platimo pa da idemo.